Very good morning, dear students. Very good morning to one and all, students of class 9th and class 10th, state and CBSE. Welcome to English grammar session. Today's session is day 22. Day 22 session today. And today's session we are going to cover on the transformation of sentences, the first part, that is transformation of sentences from active to passive. So now, before going into that active and passive sentences, dear students, in my previous class we have covered the kinds of sentences like assertive, imperative, interrogative and exclamatory sentences. Okay, according to the nature of those sentences, how the sentence will change in different forms we have learnt. At the same time, and which verbs of the sentence can be transferred, which verbs of the sentence can be transformed, like the kinds of verbs. Okay, that also we have covered in our previous session. I think that was day 20 session, wherein we have learnt about transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. Okay, and in the same class continuation we have studied about voices, and I told you the voices are classified into two according to their nature in grammar concept, wherein active voice and passive voice. Now in these voices, when we study every sentence, there will be two persons, I said. There are two characters, I said. Okay, two persons and two characters, as I said, wherein action doer and action receiver. Action doer and action receiver, both we have. Now, always the subject impacts on the object. In whichever sentence the subject impacts on the object through verb, then that considered as a active voice and it can be a transitive verb. Okay. Now let us check. Voices do change according to the tense in different forms. Okay, active to passive voice will change in different tense forms. Now here are some of the examples on the board. So voices, let us come to this session, day 22, where we are going to cover transformation of sentences from active to passive voice. As I told you, there are five rules, basic rules we need to follow when we are converting sentence from active to passive. Let us check those rules once again. What are those rules? Rule number 1, the interchange of subject and object. Okay, the first rule implies while converting active to passive sentences, there normally the interchange of subject and object, that means subject goes to the object place and object comes to the subject place. Okay, interchange of subject and object places. The second is use of verb. Normally in a passive sentence, while we are constructing a passive sentence, there is a presence of helping verb followed by V3. Helping verb followed by verb of the third form in the passive sentence. That is the second rule we need to remember. I hope all the students of state and CBSE, please concentrate. Once we learn these rules, automatically we can go ahead on converting the sentence from active to passive and passive to active, like that. So use of verb, what happens in the passive sentences? There is a use of a helping verb followed by verb of the third form in passive sentence. That is the second rule which implies. The third rule is use of the word by. Normally whenever we are composing a passive sentence, there is a usage of the word by normally, okay, in the passive sentence. Okay, passive voice sentence. The fourth rule, what we have to do is the meaning. Whenever we are converting a sentence, we are not supposed to disturb the meaning of the sentence. The meaning of the sentence should remain the same, whether it is in the active form or in the passive form. There must not be change of meaning. Okay, that is the fourth rule, basic rule we need to adopt while transforming a sentence from active to passive voice. Okay, meaning should not be changed. And the last rule which implies is no change in the tense. Tense should not change. If the active sentence is in the simple present, the same tense should not become past tense. Okay, tense remains the same. Normally the tense of that particular sentence, okay, remains the same while we are converting from active to passive. Only thing is we need to convert that into passive form, where the action doer and the action receiver, there is a change in that. Okay, so now these are the 5 rules. Once again, giving you the recapitulation: interchange of subject and object place, use of helping verb plus V3 in the passive voice sentence it happens, then use of word by will take place in passive form, and meaning should not be changed. Normally there is no change in the meaning and no change in the tense. There is no change in the tense. Whatever tense remains, whether it is in the active or the passive, the tense should remain the same. Okay, these are the 5 basic principles or rules to follow, to be followed to convert sentences from active to passive. Okay, let us check. What we have done is, instead of doing various examples, let us take one sentence, the same example, and check in different forms. That's what I have done it here. I have taken one example sentence, and that example sentence we have tested in different forms, tested in different tense forms. Each tense has got 4 forms, like that. In different forms mostly we have done. So let us take the first simple present. In the first simple present, we are seeing I have taken the sentence Raju, which is a subject, writes, verb, letters. Okay, Raju is singular. That's the reason the verb has taken with S form instead of write. If it is I, instead of Raju, if it is first subject I, then it takes write. I write letters. Because Raju is the singular third subject, therefore the verb has to go with S form. Raju writes letters. So Raju is singular, but whereas letters are plural, it is not letters. Raju writes letters. This shows the habitual action of Raju. So that means Raju keep writing letters normally. Raju usually writes letters. That is what is the meaning. So Raju writes letters. Writes is verb. Letters is object. So now this is because the subject, the verb is followed after the subject. The verb is followed after the subject. And Raju, what is he doing? The action doer, letters is writing. So action is received. Letters, right? Okay, hence it is considered to be active voice. There is a transitive verb here. When there is a transitive verb here, while converting the sentence. Now when you convert the sentence, what should happen? Subject should go to object place and object should come to subject place. So I brought forward letters. Letters I brought forward here. Letters I brought forward here. Because letters singular or plural? Because it is plural, are. I have taken are. Letters are. If it is letter singular, then letter is. If Raju writes letter, then letter is it should go. Because letters are plural, then letters are written. So what I have taken here? I have taken here HV. What is HV? Helping verb. And written is V3 form. Right? Wrote and written. Right, wrote and written. So letters are written by Raju. Letters are written by Raju, which is the passive. This is the passive voice. So you will get 1 mark here whenever a sentence is given in the question paper while converting active to passive or passive to active. Then the process is this. You need to follow this process, adopt these rules. So letters are written by Raju. Why letters are? Because letters plural, but Raju is singular when the subject is there. So now that subject has come to object place. Subject has come to object place. If you see here, letters which is the last word of the active voice sentence has been brought forward, and Raju, which is the first word of the active sentence, has become last word in the passive. That's what takes place. Interchange of subject and object. Okay, so this is simple present where we have converted from active to passive. Now let us go with Raju, the present continuous. The present continuous form, the same sentence checking in the next tense form. The same sentence we are checking in the next tense form. That is, Raju is, present continuous. Raju is. Can I take are? No. Why? Because the subject is singular. If your children or students, then it becomes students are. Because it is subject is singular, Raju is writing letters, which is the present continuous form. What is the tense of this particular sentence? It is the present continuous form. This sentence is in the present continuous form. Raju is writing letters, which is active voice. Which is active voice. Okay? Because the subject is at the beginning and the verb is followed after the subject. Okay, and there is an impact of subject action on the object. So now converting the same letters, again I brought forward letters word here. Letters are because letters is plural, then it has to go with are, A-R-E-R. Okay, you need to pronounce properly. It is not R, it is R. It's not R, it's R. Letters are. Now being, why should I use being? Because the action is in the continuous form here. The action is in the continuous form. The action has not stopped. Action, Raju, what is he doing? He is writing letters. Raju is writing letters. The action is in the continuous form. Therefore, the same tense it has to be followed. The same tense it has to be followed, as I said, according to the fifth rule. No change in the tense. So letters are being written. To keep it in continuous form in passive, to keep it in continuous form in the passive, then it takes this way, it takes this mode. Letters are being written by Raju. Okay, so again we are changing the sentence to passive but not changing the meaning. Meaning and tense remains the same. Meaning and tense remains the same. Now coming to present perfect form. If you see here, dear students, the present perfect form. Present perfect, same sentence, checking in the present perfect form, tense form. Raju has, you know the present perfect structure. Subject plus has or have plus V3 plus object. So Raju has, because Raju is singular, it should go with has. It cannot go with have. Raju has written letters. Raju has written letters, which is an active sentence again. Which is an active sentence because the verb is followed after the subject over here. Okay. Then if you see, when you want to convert, what has happened here? Letters brought forward, interchange of subject to object place. Letters have, because letters is plural. Raju is singular, then has. Letters is plural, therefore we have taken helping verb have. Letters have been is the word which is getting added up. Been. Okay, letters have been written by Raju. To maintain the same tense form, we have to use been over here. To maintain the same tense form, we have to use been over here. So this becomes now the PV. What is PV? Passive voice. PV is a passive voice. Now let us see simple past. Yes. Now let us enter into the past tense form. What about present perfect continuous? It is the same. In the present perfect continuous, the active remains the same, the passive remains the same. So we need not do over the present perfect continuous. That's the reason we skipped out and we came to simple past. Now simple past, what is the structure? You know very well. It is subject plus V2 plus object. Subject plus V2 plus object. Okay. Now here Raju, right, past tense is wrote. Raju wrote letters, which is a active sentence. Raju wrote letters. Now interchange of subject and object place. Letters I brought it here. Then what is the helping verb? Letters plural. Therefore I have to go with were. Letters were written by Raju. Had it been singular letter, then what would happen? Letter was written. Letter was written. Because it is plural form, we have to take letters were written by Raju, which is the right form of the passive. Right form of the passive. Now coming to past continuous. What is past continuous? Subject plus was or were plus V4 plus object. That's the structure of past continuous. Subject plus was or were plus V4 plus object. That is the structure. Now Raju was writing letters. Yes, according to the structure, the same sentence we are testing in past continuous form. Raju was writing letters. Then what happens in a passive? Letters, because letters is plural. Were we are using. Always the helping verbs are used according to the subject. Please mind it, bear it in your mind, dear children. The helping verbs like am, is, was, are, were, has, have in the perfects always depend on the subject in the sentence. Always depend on the subject in the sentence. So letters were being written. Why being? Why should I use being? B-E-I-N-G. Being, because to keep its continuity. To keep its continuity. Letters were being written. Action is not over. The action is continue. The action is in the past continue. So to keep it in the past continue, letters were being written by Raju. Letters were being written by Raju. Okay, past continuous. Yes, next form. Let us come to past perfect. Okay, what's the structure? Subject plus had plus V3 plus object. Subject plus had plus V3 plus object. That is the past perfect form. Now if you see the sentence, according to that, the same sentence we are checking in the past perfect form. Raju had written letters. Raju had. I have taken the same helping verb over here. Raju had written letters, which is an active voice sentence. So there is an impact of subject action on the object. So now again this is a transferable sentence. It can be transferred. Why? Because transitive verb is used over here. Letters had been. Now in this, when you are converting, whenever there is a plural subject, for all the plurals and singulars, letter had or letters had. Had is this common helping verb to be used, okay, whenever you are making a passive voice sentence. Letters had been written. Raju had written letters. Letters had been written. Letters had been written by Raju. So this is what is the past perfect form. Yes, children, let us go ahead and let us see what happens the same sentence if it is in the future tense. Okay, the same sentence in the future tense. Yes. Now let me write over here. This is simple future. What is the structure? It is subject plus shall, okay, or will, right, plus V1 plus object. Subject plus shall or will plus V1 plus object. So now let us say same sentence. Okay, Raju will write letters. Raju will write letters, which is a active sentence. According to the structure, I have developed this sentence. Same sentence. The same sentence we are testing in simple future. The same example as we checked in other forms, we are checking in simple future here now. Okay, we are checking in the simple future here. So according to the structure, subject plus shall or will plus V1 plus object. So same manner, Raju will write letters. So if I have to make this, letters will be written by Raju. Letters will be written by Raju, which is passive. So you remember the table I have given you, maybe day 21 session or day 20 session, I have given you one table how the helping verbs are used in the active voice sentences and passive voice sentences. If you check the table, you remember the structure goes like this. In active sentence, it will be like this, and in passive sentence, passive voice, it is like that, following the same 5 rules. Now this is future. Raju will write letters. The action has not happened. Okay, the future action expecting in the present. The future action expecting in the present, that is future. Raju will write letters. So letters will be written by Raju, transforming the sentence from active to passive. So let us see future continuous. Future continuous. What is future continuous? Yes, do you remember the structure, dear students? Subject plus shall or will plus be, okay, plus V4 plus object. Subject plus shall or will plus be plus V4 plus object. Let me compose the sentence same. Let me take the same sentence. Raju will be writing letters. Raju will be writing letters, which is an active sentence. Let us check what happens in the passive form when we convert letters were letters. Raju will be writing letters. So what happens in the passive? So it will be in the same. We cannot make it over here. So this is future continuous.